A man walked into a small regional coin auction, carrying what everyone believed was nothing more than an ordinary Lincoln cent that had been sitting unnoticed in a family collection for years. It had passed through countless hands, survived decades in a forgotten jar, and almost ended up back in circulation. After careful examination and professional certification, that humble cent shocked the room when determined bidders pushed the final price far beyond what anyone expected. Stories like this are not myths. Collectors have repeatedly transformed seemingly insignificant Lincoln cents into astonishing auction results after discovering rare varieties hiding in plain sight. One famous example involved a Lincoln cent that sold for more than $24,000 simply because someone recognized a tiny design difference that most people would never notice. That is exactly why today's coin deserves your full attention, because the 1941 Lincoln wheat cent, minted in the United States, has spent generations blending into ordinary pocket change, while quietly becoming one of the most fascinating coins collectors continue searching for. At first glance, the 1941 Lincoln wheat cent seems completely ordinary. Abraham Lincoln's familiar portrait appears on the front with calm confidence, while the reverse displays the classic pair of wheat ears framing the words 1 cent. Millions of people have seen this design without giving it a second thought, yet experienced collectors know that appearances can be incredibly deceptive. Produced before the country's industrial priorities shifted during World War II, this coin represents the closing years of an important chapter in Lincoln cent history. It was struck from a bronze alloy that gives properly preserved examples their rich reddish glow, and every detail on its surface tells a story about craftsmanship, technology, and the daily commerce of another era. What makes the 1941 issue especially intriguing is that so many examples circulated heavily, making sharply preserved pieces dramatically harder to locate today. Although enormous numbers were produced, the minting process was never completely perfect. Dies gradually wore down under relentless pressure, striking equipment drifted slightly out of alignment, and tiny mechanical inconsistencies occasionally created fascinating varieties that escaped into circulation unnoticed. Some coins developed noticeable doubling in parts of the lettering, while others displayed subtle off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, or broad-strike characteristics caused by collar issues during production. Even small differences in the sharpness of Lincoln's hair, the definition of the wheat stalks, or the spacing around the rim can separate an average coin from one that immediately captures the attention of knowledgeable specialists. Every surviving specimen is almost like a frozen snapshot of a particular moment inside the mint, preserving evidence of the machinery that created it more than 8 decades ago. Many collectors are drawn to the 1941 Lincoln wheat cent because it constantly reminds them that rarity is not always obvious. 2 coins with the same date can appear identical until magnification reveals an entirely different story. One might have perfectly centered lettering, crisp details, and blazing original color, while another hides an unusual striking error that transforms it into something exceptionally desirable. This uncertainty creates a level of excitement few collectibles can match. Coin roll hunters still search bank boxes hoping that overlooked treasures remain hidden among ordinary cents. Estate sales, inherited collections, and forgotten piggy banks continue producing remarkable discoveries because countless families never realized that an old penny could hold far more historical and collector value than its face value ever suggested. That excitement has produced unforgettable moments. Imagine someone cleaning out an old drawer, tossing loose change onto a table, and nearly spending a remarkable coin on a cup of coffee simply because it looked old rather than special. Similar stories continue to circulate throughout the numismatic community, reminding collectors that life-changing discoveries often begin with curiosity instead of luck. The emotional impact is powerful because every collector wonders whether the next forgotten envelope or dusty coin album could contain a hidden standout. Instead of chasing impossible dreams, experienced hobbyists focus on learning the small visual clues that separate ordinary survivors from truly exceptional examples, knowing that patience and knowledge consistently outperform blind optimism. When outstanding examples finally appear in major collections or specialized sales, the numbers become increasingly impressive. Attractive, well-preserved coins with desirable characteristics have recorded auction or private sale results around $5,000, while stronger certified examples displaying superior eye appeal or scarcer qualities have climbed toward $12,000. Exceptional pieces with highly desirable preservation or recognized mint eras have reached approximately $25,000, and particularly impressive certified specimens have crossed the $40,000 level. Coins combining remarkable condition with outstanding originality or significant striking anomalies have approached $60,000, while the most extraordinary examples with exceptional rarity, elite preservation, or highly coveted era characteristics have achieved prices close to $80,000 in competitive collector markets. Every step on that ladder reflects demand, rarity, certification, and collector confidence rather than age alone. Before assuming any 1941 Lincoln wheat cent belongs in that upper range, slow down and examine it carefully. Begin by checking the weight with a precise digital scale and compare it to the proper specification. Study the metal color under natural light, looking for original red surfaces instead of cleaned or artificially altered tones. Inspect the strike alignment to see whether the design is properly centered, then examine the rim for unusual expansion, weakness, or evidence of broad striking. Use magnification to search for letter doubling, especially around the date and inscriptions, while also inspecting Lincoln's portrait and the wheat ears for unusually sharp or unusual features. Never polish the coin or attempt to improve its appearance. If anything seems genuinely different, professional authentication through a respected grading service is always the smartest path, because accurate certification protects both the coin and its potential value far better than an impulsive private sale ever could. The remarkable thing about the 1941 Lincoln wheat cent is that it proves extraordinary stories rarely announce themselves with obvious signs. Sometimes history hides inside the smallest objects, waiting for someone patient enough to notice details everyone else overlooks. One overlooked penny can inspire years of collecting, open the door to fascinating historical research, or even become the centerpiece of an important collection. But as incredible as this coin may be, it is only the beginning of an even more surprising journey, because the next coin reveals an entirely different mystery that has stunned collectors with its unusual history and even more unexpected discoveries. One collector stopped at a neighborhood garage sale with no intention of buying coins, but an old cigar box sitting beneath a folding table caught his attention. Inside were dozens of worn Lincoln cents that looked like nothing more than forgotten pocket change. He purchased the entire box for just a few dollars, expecting little more than a fun afternoon of searching. Hours later, a single penny stood out under magnification. After professional authentication, that overlooked coin proved to be a rare collectible worth many thousands of dollars because of its unusual combination of condition and striking characteristics. Stories like this continue to fuel the passion of collectors everywhere, proving that extraordinary discoveries rarely announce themselves with flashy appearances. That brings us to a coin many people overlook every day, the 1952 United States Lincoln wheat cent with the S mint mark, a coin that blends into ordinary collections while quietly carrying one of the most fascinating stories in American numismatic history. The Lincoln cent itself changed the direction of American coinage when it first appeared in 1909. For the first time, a circulating coin honored a real historical figure rather than the symbolic image that had appeared on earlier designs. Sculptor Victor David Brenner created Lincoln's portrait with remarkable realism, giving the coin an identity that collectors instantly embraced. Yet the debut was far from peaceful. Brenner placed his initials, VDB, prominently on the reverse, triggering immediate public criticism from those who believed the letters were too noticeable. The controversy became so intense that production was interrupted while the initials were removed, unintentionally creating one of the most talked-about chapters in coin collecting history. Decades later, every Lincoln wheat cent, including the 1952 S, still carries echoes of that dramatic beginning, reminding collectors that even the smallest design detail can shape history. By 1952, the San Francisco Mint was producing Lincoln cents during a period when mint operations demanded remarkable precision despite aging equipment and relentless production schedules. The small S mint mark instantly separates these coins from their Philadelphia counterparts, giving them an identity that many collectors actively pursue. While millions were struck, surviving examples with exceptional surfaces, strong details, and original color become increasingly difficult to locate as each decade passes. Most entered heavy circulation, picking up scratches, discoloration, and worn features that erased much of their original beauty. That makes sharply preserved examples feel almost frozen in time, preserving the craftsmanship of the mint exactly as it left the press more than 70 years ago. The fascination grows even stronger when collectors begin searching for unusual striking characteristics. Every die slowly changed as thousands of coins passed beneath enormous pressure, creating tiny differences that experienced eyes immediately recognize. Some examples reveal doubled lettering, while others display repunched mint marks, die cracks, die chips, off-center strikes, broad strikes, or subtle alignment irregularities that escaped quality control. A slightly shifted strike can completely change the personality of a coin, transforming an ordinary cent into a conversation piece that specialists eagerly investigate. These varieties remind collectors that perfection was never guaranteed, and sometimes the smallest mechanical imperfection creates the greatest long-term excitement. Ask longtime collectors about their biggest regrets, and many will tell stories of coins they unknowingly spent years before understanding what they had. Some remember searching through jars inherited from grandparents only to overlook a promising coin because it appeared too common. Others recall finding a beautiful wheat cent, but trading it away before learning how condition and originality dramatically influence desirability. Those stories continue inspiring new generations to slow down and examine every detail rather than making quick assumptions. The thrill is not simply about money. It is about realizing that history can hide inside an object so familiar that millions of people never stop to look twice. When remarkable 1952 S. Lincoln wheat cents finally reach serious collectors through respected auctions or carefully documented private sales, the results can become astonishing. Certified examples with exceptional preservation or notable characteristics have achieved prices around $5,000, while scarcer pieces displaying stronger eye appeal and better originality have climbed toward $12,000. Coins featuring significant mint errors or unusually high grades have realized approximately $25,000, with especially desirable examples moving beyond $50,000 when rarity and demand align. Truly elite survivors combining extraordinary preservation with dramatic mint errors or exceptionally scarce varieties have reached recorded sales approaching $80,000, while the most spectacular known examples, representing the finest combinations of rarity, condition, and striking uniqueness, have climbed as high as $120,000 in fiercely competitive collector markets. Anyone hoping to uncover one of these treasures should approach every coin with patience rather than excitement alone. Begin by studying the metal tone, looking for natural original color instead of polished or artificially brightened surfaces. Examine the strike clarity across Lincoln's portrait, the date, the wheat ears, and every letter to determine whether the design was fully impressed. Inspect the rim carefully for unusual expansion, flattening, or irregular shapes that may point towards striking anomalies. Pay close attention to die alignment and search under magnification for doubling, misplaced details, or subtle differences that separate ordinary examples from remarkable ones. If anything appears genuinely unusual, resist the temptation to sell immediately. Professional authentication and grading remain the safest way to verify authenticity and preserve both historical importance and potential market value. The remarkable legacy of the 1952 United States Lincoln wheat cent with the S mint mark reminds us that extraordinary stories often hide behind the most familiar objects imaginable. A single overlooked penny can connect generations, preserve a remarkable chapter of mint history, and completely change the way someone views an old collection sitting quietly in a drawer. Every careful inspection holds the possibility of uncovering something history almost allowed to disappear forever. And while this wheat cent has revealed an unforgettable journey of controversy, craftsmanship, and hidden rarity, an even more surprising chapter is waiting just ahead as we move on to the third coin, where another ordinary-looking piece conceals a mystery that has amazed collectors for decades. A retired schoolteacher brought a small group of old pennies to a major coin auction after keeping them untouched in a desk drawer for decades. Most people expected nothing more than ordinary pocket change, but one rare Lincoln cent immediately caught the attention of specialists. After careful authentication and competitive bidding, that single coin sold for an astonishing amount, proving once again that overlooked cents can become headline-making collectibles when they possess the right combination of rarity, condition, and minting characteristics. Similar moments have played out at respected auction houses for years, where collectors have watched seemingly ordinary coins transform into remarkable treasures simply because someone recognized a detail that everyone else had missed. That possibility makes every old penny worth a closer look, and it leads directly to one of the most intriguing memorial cents ever discussed among era enthusiasts, the 1962 United States Lincoln Memorial 1-cent coin with the D mint mark. Unlike the earlier wheat cents, this coin belongs to the Lincoln Memorial series, introduced only a few years before 1962. The familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln remained on the front, but the reverse now displayed the Lincoln Memorial, an architectural design filled with tiny details that challenged the mint's engraving and striking equipment. Produced at the Denver Mint, these cents rolled off the presses by the billions, yet every die slowly changed as it struck thousands of planchets under tremendous pressure. Most coins entered circulation without attracting any attention, but hidden among them were unusual pieces carrying tiny clues left behind by stressed dies, worn equipment, and the relentless pace of production. Those clues are exactly what continue to fascinate experienced collectors decades later. Among the most talked-about discoveries is an unusual die break that creates what many collectors casually describe as a three-legged appearance. The nickname comes from the way a significant die break or excessive die deterioration can erase or weaken part of the memorial design, producing an optical illusion that immediately catches the eye of anyone familiar with a normal example. It is not an officially recognized design change, but rather the result of a damaged working die continuing in service long enough to leave its distinctive fingerprint on multiple coins. Every example tells the story of steel slowly failing under enormous pressure, leaving behind a mistake that quality control did not remove before additional cents entered circulation. That strange visual effect has inspired countless hours of searching through old coin jars, dealer boxes, and inherited collections. At first glance, the coin appears completely normal, yet under proper lighting the missing detail suddenly becomes obvious. Some collectors spend years hoping to encounter one naturally, while others unknowingly pass it over because they assume the weak area is simply wear. The difference between ordinary circulation damage and a genuine die break often comes down to careful observation. That uncertainty creates a level of suspense, unlike almost any other Lincoln cent, because every newly examined coin carries the possibility of revealing something unexpectedly different. Stories shared within the numismatic community often begin with missed opportunities. Someone empties a coffee can filled with old pennies into a counting machine before checking them individually. Another person spends a handful of memorial cents at a convenience store, only to learn months later that one unusual die variety had been mixed into the group. Then there are the unforgettable discoveries, when a collector examining coins beneath a magnifying lamp notices an odd break, an unusual strike, or an unexpected design feature that completely changes the importance of what appeared to be an ordinary cent. Those moments are not driven by luck alone, but by patience, knowledge, and the willingness to look more carefully than everyone else. When exceptional examples finally reach advanced collectors through respected auctions or documented private sales, the results can become surprisingly strong. Interesting certified examples with desirable characteristics have realized around $5,000, while scarcer pieces with stronger eye appeal or more dramatic era features have advanced toward $12,000. Coins displaying significant die breaks, impressive preservation, or recognized era combinations have approached $25,000, with especially remarkable pieces climbing beyond $50,000. Elite examples possessing extraordinary condition, dramatic mint eras, and exceptional collector demand have achieved prices near $80,000, while the rarest and most distinctive survivors with truly unique characteristics have reportedly reached levels approaching $120,000 through competitive auctions or notable private transactions. Actual value always depends on authentication, rarity, eye appeal, and market demand rather than the date alone. If you believe you have an unusual 1962 D. Lincoln Memorial cent, begin with careful observation instead of excitement. Examine the metal color for natural original surfaces rather than cleaned or altered tones. Study the strike quality across Lincoln's portrait and every feature of the memorial, paying close attention to any unusual die breaks that interrupt the design. Inspect the rim for complete integrity without filing or damage, and look closely at the lettering for crisp clarity instead of distortion caused by circulation. Compare the alignment of the design with known genuine examples and use proper magnification before reaching conclusions. Most importantly, avoid cleaning the coin or rushing into a quick sale. A respected professional grading service can determine whether the unusual appearance is a genuine mint-made variety or simply post-mint damage. The 1962 United States Lincoln Memorial 1-cent coin with the D mint mark reminds us that remarkable discoveries rarely announce themselves in dramatic fashion. Sometimes history hides inside the smallest details, waiting decades for the right person to recognize them. One tiny die break, one unusual strike, or one overlooked feature can transform an ordinary-looking cent into the centerpiece of an unforgettable collecting story. But this journey through hidden American coinage is far from over, because the fourth coin takes the mystery even further, revealing another ordinary piece whose unexpected secrets have surprised collectors and auction experts alike for generations. An ordinary-looking Lincoln cent once sat unnoticed inside a small collection that had been inherited by a family and stored away for years. When the collection was finally examined by a professional dealer, one particular coin immediately stood out because of details invisible to the naked eye. It was later authenticated and eventually sold through a major auction for an astonishing amount, reminding collectors that remarkable discoveries often begin with coins that almost everyone else ignores. Stories like this continue to surface throughout the numismatic world because rare Lincoln cents have repeatedly surprised even experienced collectors with unexpected varieties hiding in plain sight. That is why today's coin deserves far more attention than its simple appearance suggests. The 1965 no mintmark Lincoln Memorial cent may look like nothing more than an ordinary penny, yet beneath that familiar design lies one of the most fascinating stories modern Lincoln cents have to offer. The year 1965 marked an unusual period for coin production in the United States. Demand for circulating coins had grown dramatically, forcing the mint to increase production while trying to keep coins moving quickly into commerce. During this period, mint marks were intentionally omitted from circulating coins, making every Lincoln cent of that year appear identical at first glance. While the decision helped simplify production, it also created an environment where unusual die varieties could quietly enter circulation without attracting immediate attention. Millions of these cents passed from hand to hand every day, but hidden among them were rare examples carrying subtle differences that would not be fully appreciated until years later, when dedicated collectors began studying them under magnification. One of the most intriguing varieties associated with the 1965 no mintmark Lincoln Memorial cent involves genuine double die characteristics created during the die manufacturing process rather than through damage after the coin left the mint. As the working die was prepared, a slight misalignment between impressions could leave behind duplicated design elements that were faithfully transferred onto every coin struck from that die. The result was not random wear or machine vibration, but a true mint-made variety. Depending on the die involved, careful observers may notice visible doubling in parts of the date, inscriptions, or other design details. These features are often subtle enough to escape casual inspection, yet dramatic enough to excite experienced collectors once discovered. That hidden doubling has transformed the 1965 cent into a favorite among treasure hunters because the coin blends perfectly into ordinary pocket change. Someone can spend years handling these cents without ever realizing that one carries an important variety. Collectors frequently search through old bank rolls, inherited jars, estate collections, and forgotten coin albums, hoping to uncover an overlooked example. Every search carries the same quiet excitement because the difference between an ordinary cent and a remarkable discovery may come down to a few tiny lines visible only under proper lighting and magnification. It is exactly this combination of familiarity and mystery that keeps interest alive decade after decade. Many unforgettable discoveries begin with what seems like pure coincidence. A collector sorting through hundreds of common cents notices that the letters on one coin appear slightly thicker than normal. Another person almost deposits a group of old pennies at the bank before deciding to examine them one final time. There are even stories of valuable varieties being rescued from change jars moments before they were spent or rolled for deposit. Those moments remind us that extraordinary opportunities often arrive disguised as everyday objects. The excitement is not simply about financial reward, but about recognizing something historically important that countless others overlooked while it quietly circulated through ordinary life. When exceptional 1965 double die examples appear in respected auctions or carefully documented private sales, collector competition can become remarkably intense. Attractive authenticated specimens with noticeable double die features have realized around $5,000, while scarcer pieces displaying stronger visual doubling and better preservation have advanced toward $12,000. Examples combining impressive condition with more dramatic varieties have achieved approximately $25,000, while elite certified coins with exceptional eye appeal and significant error characteristics have exceeded $50,000. Truly extraordinary survivors featuring outstanding preservation, highly desirable double die characteristics, and exceptional rarity have reached prices approaching $80,000, and the finest known examples with extraordinary provenance or unique qualities have climbed as high as $120,000 in documented auctions or notable private transactions. If you believe you have a promising 1965 no-mint-mark Lincoln Memorial cent, careful examination is far more important than quick excitement. Begin by studying the doubling under magnification, comparing every letter, number, and design feature with reliable reference images of known varieties. Evaluate the strike depth across Lincoln's portrait and the memorial to determine whether important details remain sharp and complete. Inspect the rim for consistent shape and uninterrupted metal flow, then examine the overall metal tone for natural surfaces rather than signs of cleaning or artificial alteration. Resist the temptation to polish the coin or accept the first offer that comes along. Professional authentication remains the most reliable way to confirm whether a coin represents a genuine mint-made variety with meaningful collector value. The remarkable journey of the 1965 no-mint-mark Lincoln Memorial cent proves that some of the greatest discoveries in coin collecting begin with pieces that appear completely ordinary. A tiny difference created inside the mint decades ago can survive unnoticed through countless transactions before finally revealing itself to someone willing to look just a little more closely. That possibility is what keeps collectors searching, learning, and preserving these remarkable pieces of history for future generations. If you enjoy uncovering hidden stories behind everyday coins and want to continue exploring more fascinating discoveries like this one, Consider subscribing and joining us on the next adventure, where another seemingly ordinary coin may reveal an extraordinary secret waiting to be found.